It's my pleasure to introduce the next speaker. He's from Nash County. He worked in tobacco fields growing up, but he has come a long way since then. The young man who worked in tobacco fields would eventually represent the people of Nash County in the North Carolina House of Representatives and the North Carolina Senate. In 2001, he was elected Attorney General of the state of North Carolina, where he has been a true friend and watchdog for consumers. Impact was thrilled to offer our endorsement to him this year for the office of governor. He is the right person for the job, and he is the right candidate for state employees. Join me in welcoming the next governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper. Have a seat.
Hold on, I'm coming. I like that. I told that to a state employee the other day who was depressed about how things were going. Hold on, I'm coming. With your help, we're going to get this state headed in the right direction. It is such an honor and a privilege for me to receive the endorsement of the state employees. You are the people who keep us safe. You are the people who administer health care. You are the people who clean up our public buildings. You are the people who educate our kids. You are the people who provide services every single day to the people of this state. And you should receive more respect than you are receiving now. I did grow up in rural Nash County. Grew up in a town called Nashville. My claim to fame, many of you may have heard this, my claim to fame is not being Attorney General or a state senator. I went to the public schools, and I'm grateful for my public education. And my 3 daughters went to the public schools, and I'm grateful for their education. But my claim to fame came one Friday night in the Rocky Mount High School gym. I played for the country school, Northern Nash High School, and we were playing against our rival. I got some Knights back there. We were playing against our rivals, the Rocky Mount Griffons, and they had a pretty decent player by the name of Phil Ford, who obviously later became National Player of the Year and a great pro. But my claim to fame is that on one Friday night in the Rocky Mount High School gym, I, Roy Cooper, blocked Phil Ford's shot. Phil got 52 points that night. But he did not get 54. And one of my great joys in life is that Phil admitted this publicly about a year or so ago. I'm not sure he really remembers it the same way I do, but he admitted it publicly. And Phil has endorsed my campaign, and he is helping me. And he sent out an email advocating for me. And the thing that really cut deep was that he said that I would be a much better governor than basketball player. And it was really, Phil, come on. It's wonderful to have support all across this state and from people who work hard. Mom and Dad put me in the tobacco patch very early, also in the cucumber patch. I started taking off sticks 8 or 9 years old, started cropping when I was in my teen years. When I became Attorney General, I told them they had violated numerous child labor laws, but that I would let them off the hook. But it did teach me about hard work and about determination, and that I really wanted a job with air conditioning when I grew up, and I was grateful for the people in North Carolina giving me that opportunity. I saw how hard people worked. I also learned from my mom and dad values, value of $1. They taught me the value of hard work, the value of public service, the value of public education, a deep and abiding faith. My mom and dad taught my Sunday school lessons, and I taught the Sunday school lessons of my 3 daughters. And I am grateful for their guidance and am so thrilled with my 3 daughters. Many of you may have seen the ad that they did with the video of my kids and me growing up. And I'm grateful for our closeness as a family. Kristen and I are grateful to this state of North Carolina for providing us that opportunity. And talk about state employees, of course, I am one and have been for a while. My mother was a public school teacher, and by the way, I go across the state a lot, and every once in a while somebody will say, I want to pay you a compliment, and I'll think it's about me, and they'll say, your mom was the best teacher I ever had. It shows you the power of education. My brother was an assistant district attorney and then a district court judge. So we know about health care and retirement and the fact that what has been happening over the last 4 years and even longer than that is we have seen when a choice has been made, when extra tax revenue comes in, the choice has been tax giveaways for the corporations and mostly those in the upper income, instead of investments in our public servants, instead of tax cuts for the middle class. Now, Governor McCrory talks a lot about a Carolina comeback, but you go ask most everyday working people whether they are seeing a Carolina comeback, they will tell you they are working longer and harder and for less money than they were before the recession. And the statistics bear that out. There are people who are succeeding in this economy, and yes, there has been a national recovery, and yes, we've seen lower unemployment, but the fact is a lot of those jobs are not good paying jobs, and what we need to do is to make sure we strengthen the middle class. Someone asked me what my priority was as governor. I told them it was to put more money in the pockets of everyday working people and middle-class families. That's what we've got to do. And you don't do it by taking available tax revenue and providing giveaways to those at the top. I talk to CEOs and I ask them, so what do you need from the state of North Carolina to expand your business here or to bring better paying jobs? The first thing they tell me is not you need to lower the corporate tax. The first thing they tell me is, do you have the people who can perform the jobs that I create? Do you have the well-trained workforce? That means that we have to invest in education, cradle to college, to give people opportunities. We have to make college more affordable. And I'm excited about doing that and working with you. Now, I know you get people who are running for office to come up here and tell you a lot of things and make you a lot of promises. I will tell you this, I'm going to work hard to make sure we invest in our public servants. The fact that your spending power has dropped over the last few years, the fact that you have gotten paltry to zero pay raises over the last few years and often are having to pay more for health insurance. For those of you who are retirees, you have seen hardly nothing come to help you. A one-time bonus, yeah, that may be nice for 1 year, but that doesn't help you as you go along and try to make it and make ends meet. So what we need is a leader who will provide vision. The governor didn't provide for even the paltry increases that the General Assembly ended up passing. He didn't even put that in the budget that was proposed to the General Assembly. So what you need, number one, is a governor who has the vision and the foresight to invest in our public employees, because we know that we have to provide services to people and we have to retain the best people in order to get the job done. Now, you say, I've heard it before. I've heard people say this before. And in addition to this governor-to-be, you've got probably a legislature with maybe the same leadership in place. So how are you going to do that? I've got a track record. I've got a track record of making sure that we do what we need to do for state employees. I was the Senate Democratic Majority Leader from 1997 to 2001. During that period of time, the North Carolina House was Republican. I was the one often sent over to negotiate, to find ways forward, to make sure that we did the right thing. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of push to provide tax giveaways for those in the higher income bracket from the Republican side. But we fought, and it was one of the longest sessions in history, but we fought. And over those 4 years, when I was Senate Majority Leader, we were able to give a total of 15% increases to state employees during those 4 years. And if you look at the record of Governor McCrory, that figure for his 4 years in the office has been less than 5%. And when you look at the budgets that he has presented, they have been worse than what the General Assembly has ultimately provided. So what you need, number one, is a leader with vision who appreciates and respects public employees and believes that we should help attract and retain the best people. And you need somebody who has the ability to understand the issues, to find consensus. I know there are a lot of Republicans out there who support you and what you do. What we need is leaders who can bring us together. And we've never been as divided politically as we are right now. It is partisan. You're hearing things back and forth, and nobody's listening to each other. What we need more than ever is leaders who can, after the campaign is over and after the partisan barbs, leaders who can ignore those insults and say, okay, that was campaign and that was back and forth. Now it's time for policy. Now it's time for people. Let's sit down. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's first find where we agree. And let's move forward to try to do what's best for North Carolina. And one of the things I know is that a strong public workforce will be critical. Now, thank you. I think clearly what we're looking at now, though, is a battle with some of the ideas in the General Assembly regarding state employees. The fact, and also with this governor, the fact that executive order was issued saying that you couldn't be given time to come to this convention is wrong. And that executive order, that's a slap in the face. And that executive order will be rescinded when I'm governor. Because state employees need to talk to each other. You need to talk to each other about the jobs that you do. You need to talk to each other about what's going on in your departments and how can we translate that to better pay and benefits for these employees and health insurance for their families, but also how to be better public employees. I've talked to many of you, and yes, you want better pay and benefits, but most of you wouldn't be doing this job if you didn't care about what you were doing, if you didn't care about serving the public. And there are a number of you who could make different decisions about this and who could be going into the private sector, but you've decided to serve the public. And I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the fact that you have decided to do that. What we've got to do is to fight off these efforts to make the hiring process more political. We've seen more and more political positions being created, and what you've seen is people being eliminated from positions that have institutional knowledge and who can make the departments more effective. We need to make sure that the best people are put in place, period. The most qualified people are put in place, period. We need to work to make sure that we have diversity. Our state government should look like the people that they serve and protect and represent. And one of the things I will want to do in the positions that I appoint is to appoint knowledgeable people and people who will listen to the state employees who are there, who know when things have been tried and may not have worked before. That's the kind of thing and the kind of leadership that we need. I'm going to ask you today to work hard in this election. Now, I don't want to be. I know that when you hear Donald Trump, he talks about polls all the time, and I don't like to talk about polls, but I'm going to talk about just this past week. If the election's tomorrow, with all of these independent polls that have shown us with such a good lead, if the election's tomorrow, we win and take this governor's office back. If the election is tomorrow. Election ain't tomorrow. It's 60 days from now. We have a lot of work to do. We need to talk to each other about how we're going to better the lives of state employees, how we're going to better the lives of retirees, how we can analyze the retirement system, make sure the system does its part, make sure that when there are cost of living increases that can fiscally responsibly be made, like I believe that was the chance this time and they didn't do it, we need to make them. We need to block these provisions that are trying to take away things like the 80-20 plan and take away the ability for your insurance to coverage your spouse and family. Those are the kinds of things that turn state employees away, and what we want to do is keep you and to make sure you continue to do an incredible job for the people. We also need to be careful about this move for privatization. You know, there may be some things that a private sector can do, but it has to be a big leap to get there because they need to show that it is more cost effective, and they need to show that there will be a better quality, and they need to show that it won't be a long-term drain on the taxpayers. And some of the things that have been done lately, I don't think those steps have been taken. So as governor, I will work with you and listen to you about those issues as well. But now we've got to go out and get people elected. I know you have endorsed a slate. And I know one thing, we need to work to get enough forward-thinking legislators elected to the state legislature who could at the very least sustain the new governor's veto. That's going to be an important part. And you've endorsed some good candidates out there, and we need to go and work to do it. So as we approach these last 60 days, a lot of people are going to be looking at you. A lot of people are your friends on Facebook and Twitter, and some of you may even be doing Instagram and Snapchat. Go to roycooper.com and retweet me. Send out my social media. That's a way we can do things absolutely free. And they trust your opinion. And then help us as we call people, as we knock on doors, as we take people to the polls, because turnout is going to be critical. And we're going to need your help. I feel confident that we can get back to the North Carolina that you and I know. We were the first state in this country to open our doors to higher education supported by the public. North Carolina, in the civil rights era, made different decisions from other southern states. Governor Terry Sanford stood up and talked about racial fairness and equality when other southern states were making different decisions. We've still got a long way to go with race relations, but North Carolina has been a state. North Carolina has been a state that has been a beacon in the South, and we need to get that back. We need to make sure that we are moving forward. My friend Governor Jim Hunt, who is also supporting me and who I believe is our greatest governor, said the other day that he believed that this governor's race was the most important governor's race in the history of our state. That's a four-term governor saying that. And I don't know about that, but what I do know, it is critical for where we're going to go. We need leaders who are positive. We need leaders who are going to make it easier for people to register and vote rather than harder for people to register and vote. We need leaders who believe in local government, who believe that they can make decisions for people's lives that they represent. We need leaders who believe in renewable energy and who believe that clean air and water and a strong economy can work hand in hand. We need leaders who are going to move North Carolina forward. And I'm going to tell you this today because I believe it from the bottom of my heart. North Carolina is better than this. We always have been. We will be again. We're going to be even stronger tomorrow. With your help, let's go win this race. Thank you very much.